Freedom. Such a beautiful word, isn't it? It stirs up visions of open fields, unshackled choices, and a life lived on your own terms. But my dear friends, what if I told you there's a prison far more insidious than any with bars? A cage built not of steel, but of silence. A fortress erected not to protect you from the world, but to shield you from yourself. Today, we're exploring the quiet, cunning thief of connection, dismissive avoidance, and asking, is it holding you back? Picture, if you will, a castle on a hill, majestic, impenetrable, and solitary. It stands firm against storms and invaders alike, but inside, it's eerily quiet. Its halls echo with footsteps that lead nowhere. Its windows look out at a world it dare not join. The dismissive avoidant is like that castle, strong, self-reliant, and fortified against vulnerability. And yet, in their quest for independence, they find themselves alone. Let me share with you a story. Once, I knew a man named Edward, a dashing fellow with charm to spare and a laugh that could light up a room. People admired Edward's calm confidence. They said he was untouchable, a master of his emotions. But beneath that exterior was a man terrified of intimacy. Oh, he would tell you he loved his independence. He'd say he didn't need anyone. But if you looked closely, you'd see it. The fear lurking just beneath his polished smile. Edward had a partner, Amelia, who loved him dearly. She'd pour her heart into their relationship, offering warmth and understanding. But every time she stepped closer, Edward would retreat. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He simply withdrew. A text left unanswered. A date rescheduled. A conversation redirected. Amelia, confused and heartbroken, would ask, "Why won't you let me in?" Edward would shrug and say, "I just don't need all that closeness." And therein lies the paradox, doesn't it? The dismissive avoidant believes they are free, but in reality they are trapped. Trapped in a narrative that says closeness equals danger, vulnerability equals weakness, and independence is the only road to safety. It's a story they tell themselves so convincingly that they don't even realize it's a lie. Now let's pause for a moment. You might be thinking, but what's wrong with being independent? And I'd agree. Independence is a virtue, but when independence becomes a shield against connection, it ceases to be freedom and becomes a form of captivity. Because the truth is, no matter how much we might protest, humans are wired for connection. We are, at our core, social creatures. To push others away is to deny ourselves one of life's most profound joys, the messy, beautiful, vulnerable experience of being truly seen. Let me offer another metaphor, one that might resonate. Imagine a bird that refuses to leave its cage. The door is open, the sky vast and inviting, but the bird, convinced that the outside world is filled with predators, stays put. It tells itself, "I am safe here." And yes, it is safe, but it is also confined, unable to stretch its wings and feel the wind beneath them. That bird, my friends, is the dismissive avoidant. Safe, but at the cost of freedom. Now here's the twist. The dismissive avoidant doesn't reject connection because they don't care. No, quite the opposite. Deep down, they do care, sometimes too much. But caring means risking hurt, and hurt is a risk they've trained themselves to avoid at all costs. They've learned to associate closeness with pain, likely because of wounds inflicted long ago, wounds they've hidden even from themselves. So is dismissive avoidance holding you back? That's the question, isn't it? Are you the bird in the cage, convincing yourself that the sky isn't worth the risk? Are you the castle on the hill, safe but empty? And if so, what would it take for you to open the gates, to step into the world, to let someone in? Now, I'm not here to criticize or condemn. Oh no, I'm here to invite you to consider that vulnerability isn't the enemy, it's the bridge. It's the path that leads to connection, to growth, and yes, to freedom. Real freedom. Not the kind that isolates you, but the kind that allows you to share your life with others without fear. Consider this. What if you could hold on to your independence while also embracing connection? What if you could trust someone enough to let them see the cracks in your armor, knowing they wouldn't exploit them but cherish them as part of who you are? It's not an easy journey, I won't lie to you, but it's a worthwhile one. It starts with small steps. Perhaps it's as simple as saying, "I'm scared." Or maybe it's listening when someone says, "I need you," instead of shutting down. Vulnerability is not a leap. It's a series of choices, each one leading you closer to a life of deeper, richer relationships. So, my dear friends, I leave you with this thought. If dismissive avoidance is holding you back, perhaps it's time to reconsider. Not to abandon your independence, but to redefine it. To see it not as a wall, but as a foundation. A strong base upon which to build connections that don't threaten your freedom but enhance it. Because in the end, isn't that what we all want? Not to stand alone in our castles or cages, but to share our lives with those who see us, love us, and walk beside us. Free, yet together. Isn't that the true definition of freedom? I invite you to ponder this, and perhaps to take that first step out into the open air. The sky, after all, is waiting.